Welcome back. So now we have a DB context, and again the DB context is going to take care of the schema for the database. It's going to tell us what tables are in there, what relations do the table have, and how do we communicate even with the database. And we're going to use that DB context in each of our repositories, which is going to be kind of an access point for each of the tables. So the first repository I want to build is the product repository, and pretty much it needs to be a product repository that upholds this iProduct repository interface. So that's going to be the first unit test I want to do, that actually I'm going to create a product repository that upholds this interface right here. So let's jump down to a new test file I made called product repository test. The first test I have right here is called product repository is iProduct repository. So let's just go and create it. Step one, let's just make a repository right here, just a simple variable, and it's going to be a new product repository. There we go, let's just get rid of the test part, and of course this doesn't exist yet, so we'll just create this as a type locally, and there we go, we have our class right here of product repository. That's step one. Let's try and do an assert right here, because what I want to test is that this is assignable, so assignable from a specific type. So what we're going to explain to the system is that I want this to be an iProduct repository right here. So I wanted to have that interface in order to call itself a product repository in my system. Now I didn't use this before, I just used isTrue right here, but is assignable from is kind of the same thing as we did earlier with the isTrue, where we kind of just said it's a specific type. So I just want to show you guys this one. It's a pretty neat way to write this. And then I just pass in the repository to kind of say, I expect that this repository is of the type iProduct repository. Let's try and run the test like we always do to see that everything is green. So we're happy. Hopefully it fails right now because it's not of the type iProduct repository, and that's how test-driven development goes. First, make a failing test and then make the test run. There we have the failed test. It says, it should be an iProduct repository, but it's actually a product repository, not an iProduct repository. So let's go and fix that. I'll just go down to my product repository down here that I just created, and I'll just name it an iProduct repository like this. Now, as soon as I do that, I'm forced into upholding the contract of the iRepository. Yay! So I'll just Alt-Enter right here. I'll just press the lamp and say implement missing members. And there we go. We have our method, so we can call ourselves now an iProduct repository. Sweet, let's try and run the test again, because now it should actually be green. Now we should have solved the problem for the first unit test, saying that a product repository needs to be of the type iProduct repository, and it's green. Happy days. I just want to do one more thing right here. I want to move my product repository to the right location, so I'll do a refactor, I'll do a move. Now notice this is the same thing we've done a few times now, so you should be kind of used to this already, and that's test-driven development. It's not that complex, it's just slowing down and doing your code slowly in the right process. Now I want to add it to data access to a folder called repositories, like this. I want to add it to that folder, and there we go. Now we moved it into the new folder called repositories, and here we have the find all now. And again, like always, let's just rerun all our unit tests to make sure that we didn't break anything. I'll just rerun the one that I just created right here. And the unit tests are green, so that's it for this lesson. Now we just created our first product repository and made sure that the product repository is actually of the type iProduct repository.